Hello everyone out there. This is Amanpreet Singh and I have just completed the machine learning course using Python from Skyfi Labs and build a project under that and which is Boston House Prediction. Boston is the area actually, and this project is made under the linear regression, sorry, which is a machine learning algorithm. So let's get started. First of all, I've imported all the essential libraries and which is the NumPy, Pandas, Matplotlib, sklearn, which is really very beneficial, and obviously HTML using the IPython. What actually NumPy will do is will help me performing some mathematical expressions and calculations. Pandas will be managing a data frames for me. It will hold up all the data from the Boston data sets, and it will help in managing the frames of that. Matplotlib on the other hand will be help in a data visualization. Under data visualization, I will be making some plots, graphs, and some animated stuff also here. For that only the Funk animation has been imported. And so yeah, let's get started with the steps. This was made under 4 steps only. I'll go through the each steps one by one. Step one was a data pre-processing. Under this, we have loaded a data set which is already present in a sklearn. So it's already present in sklearn, so we have didn't have to download it from the Kaggle or anywhere else. Here I've printed a description of the Boston dataset from the keyword DESCR, and then getting towards um, now as I've loaded up the data, it's time to just hold up in a particular data frame so that we can use it according to our needs. So according to that, we have uses a pandas library out here. What it actually do is it's creating a new data frame and accessing all the features name out there, whether it is the age, the ratio, the tax, the radians, and lstat or other features, whatever are present in the Boston data actually. So it's getting hold up to that in a frame so that we can use it in a future. Now it's time to access some of the data. So I've just have a example out here which is accessing the PT ratio column. So you can see that the PT ratio is here, and now from that feature we have access actually all the PT ratios values. So this is just a way to access any of the data values. Now getting something which is of our use, getting the target values. So as we know that in the end we need the target values as well as predictive values. So check for checking up that our model is working efficiently or not. So yes, in the same way the target values have been listed out. And here's the use of max and min function. The max and min function is on the one hand, max function will get the maximum value present in a whole in that whole column, whichever has been selected out there. And on the other hand, min is just opposite of that. Now for completing a complete data set, we have a concat function, or it's not just only because completing a whole data set, it's just for concatenating two rows or two column. By default, if we do not mention x is equals to 1, it will capture it will sorry it will hold up to the rows only. So for concatenating it to the column wise, we have to mention x is equals to 1, and we are actually concatenating all the features and the target. So you can see that there are all the features and then there is a target because we need both of them, right? Okay, so it's just a small code of rounding off to the two decimal places. It's just round off to a particular two decimal places for some only efficient look. Now here comes the correlation concept. Now we correlation concept is usually there to find out the to find out the sensitivity between the two quantities, that is a target and a feature. It's actually find out the sensitivity between the target and the most sensitive feature which is most affected by the target value. So correlation can be highly correlated, that is it can be most sensitive to the to any one particular feature, and there can be no correlation also, because some of the features might have no effect to that target value, and some of the correlation can be negatively correlated, that is it has a adverse effect. Just suppose it, here we are using a Pearson method for correlation. There are many other methods also, but we are using a Pearson method. Okay, so there's a method, and here we have a graph. So as we see in that graph, there is a L stat, which is pretends, or what should we pretend, not only pretend, it's actually completely sensitive to the target variable. See this value, target variable. So we take this as an attribute because as this is the most sensitive value, then this is the only value will give us the most verified predicted rate for our future. Okay, so we have taken that lstat and then the target in x and y respectively. Now printing them. Now here comes the next step, that is normalizing. As we can see in the above right there, that the result which is shown is not normalized, that is it is not in a common scale factor, that is we can see the difference out there, but when it comes to data frame we could not be recognize that in a plots only, because that are not in a proper scale or a common scale, that is all the data are not in a common scale. Okay, so we use that min max scalar which is present in a sklearn library for that, and yeah, so here you come the normalized data. This is the one. Now here's the error function. We have used the error function also, which is a mean square error function. The reason behind using the mean square error function is it has a better emphasis on the gradient function, as I've learned in the video so far. And if I'm not so audible, or whether I'm not so clear with my voice, so I have written all the thing which I'm speaking at, actually 60% of my things which I'm speaking in the heading only. So please get to that only if you don't find me effective here. Now it's come the next step, splitting of the data. Now splitting data into a fixed set, we need to have a split, we need to split the data in a fixed sets. It can be either in a three form, that is a training set, then validation set, and then the testing set. But at the end we all know that validation set will combine with the training set, because as we have to breaks into the chunks. So training set could be either 60%, validation set could be 15 to 20%, combining about 80%, and training set to be 20%. Testing set, sorry. Training set will be used alongside our code only, and testing set will be in the end. Now here comes the mathematical part, that is y is equal to mx plus c, that is the equation of the line, and this mx plus c will be help in a correlation, and also in a minimizing the error function. Minimizing the error function will be like the difference between the predicted value and the target value, that is we don't expect our models to be have a large difference, because that will be not an efficient model, right? So we have to we need to have a small difference between the predicted value and the target value, so that we can check that our model is working efficiently or not. Here is setting up the initial values to the parameter. Here comes the animation part. Animation part, from that I mean that the linear regression, how is actually working, and how is that data set responding to our machine learning algorithm. As we can see the animated graph with the scattered form of data sets. So for the animation part, we need the two function actually, and that is the init function and the update frame function. Update frame will actually update the each frame at a one every particular instance. So yeah, this animation is done by the func animation which have already been imported. And so yes, yeah, here's the animation, and here's how linear regression line is animated across the whole data set. Yeah, see this. And one thing we will notice that when it comes to its ends, it will have a very small deviation, or at least actually no deviation at the end, as you can see. Yeah, so which is a good sign for our model. And this is a scattered form of a data set. So yes, visualization of the both training data set as well as a regression line. So yeah, this is the regression line, which is our algorithm, and in the red line, and this is a scattered form of a data set, actually a training data set. So as we can see that there is a very uh, linear regression line is almost over the training data set, which is a good sign because it's holding up all the training data set except at the end here. Otherwise it's fine. Yeah. Now plotting the error values. So from this graph we can see that the error is minimizing as the iterations are getting more and more, which is a good sign because there should be less error, right? So as we can see that as the iterations are getting more and more, the errors is reducing, and at the end it becomes parallel, which also tells us that if we increase the iterations more, so it won't suffer our graph, that it will just move parallel, and it will not negatively affect our graph. Here comes the last step, which is a prediction. Now as we have done all the step, now it's time to just predict the values and compare it with the target value. So yeah, so yes, again following the same um, things as we have done with the training data, now it's time to done the same thing with the testing data. So here we find the mean squared error from a this is a sklearn. This is used by the sklearn library. That is, it is a direct uses of the mean squared error from a sklearn library. So as we can see here that the mean square error is quite less than the actually which is there in a training data. That is a testing data. The mean square error is quite less. So yes, now here we can see the predicted value and the target value. This is not the normalized value actually. We will do it later in the section. So but we can still find a difference. We don't should find a large difference, but yes, there is a close difference out here. Yeah, which is a good sign for our model because we don't want to have a large difference between our predicted value from which is predicted by our model and the target value, which is the output value. And plot the directed values during the yeah, and this is the same graph as we have done with the training data. Now it's with the testing data. Here comes the normalized function, normalization again using an inverse transform function, which will actually give us a organic data. Organic data, from that I mean actual price of a house. That data is giving the price between the 1 and 0 because that is not a normalized data, right? That is a common scale factor data. Now here it comes the code for normalizing that function from the min max scaler. Sorry, inverse transform, that is from the training data. Yeah, here's the value now. Predicted value 20.9, target value was 15.6. Okay, close. This is a best five by far. 18.1 is a predicted value and 16.4 was a target value. There still some has a quite a large difference, but that's okay. Our model is still working more than 90% well. So yeah, thank you for watching.